We are on day 6 of 7. And yesterday I went over Joseph. I did like a little overview. But before I had sat down to do the video, I actually had gone through the pages and I was looking at some things. And one of the headings had stuck out to me. And it was something I ended up thinking about the rest of the day. And then when I got up this morning, I went ahead and looked at that passage, and I want to share that with you. But be warned, my thoughts are a little choppy, but I just kind of want to share them because there was some interesting insight in it that I would like to just kind of put out there. But again, remember, my thoughts are choppy, so offer me grace and mercy, please. But in Genesis 44, at this point in time, it says in the heading was Joseph's final test. That's what kind of drew me back, because I'm like, what was his final test? I want to know, what was his final test before he went, and let's just say he lived in the promised land. I'm not saying that's what happened, but let's just say it is, okay? So what was this great thing that happened? Or what was this final test? And the final test was actually for his brothers. And I guess, I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't really know exactly why at this time. I haven't looked in it that far, but I guess maybe to see their loyalty, to see their honesty and stuff. And so he had a final test. And one of the things that he had done, the land was in a famine, so he had given his brothers bags of grains to take back to them, to their dad, and so he had stuck valuables in those bags to as a test, you know. And so one of the things that he had done at this point in time in the Bible, he had, you know, got some more grain bags together, and he put a silver cup, which was his, in the youngest brother's bag. And the reason he had did that, like a ransom. To me, it's like a ransom, because he said, if we find this cup, whoever's bag it's in will be my slave. And he placed it there. So come on now, that's like a ransom, right? You know? But so, you know, he more make sure they're gonna come back. And he did. But these are the things that I really kind of wanted to point out. And I hope that you take the time to go back and read. It's actually Joseph 44, 1 through 17. Again, 44, 1 through 17. And there was a couple things that I just kind of really wanted to point out. First of all, yesterday I made the point to say that when Joseph made a point to say, Lord, I'm ready. He didn't say Lord, he said, I'm ready. He was ready to go on whatever path that God was going to take him on. He was ready. Even if that path was so against everybody's thoughts and ideas, that's what he went, and he wanted it. Now, it did come with bitterness, and it came with anger, and it came with betrayal, but he wanted it, and so God gave it to him. However, his brothers, on the other hand, it wasn't the same. It took them being in a situation and kind of being forced into having this relationship with God, and that's a big difference. And sometimes we have to note that, and when we're in community, because sometimes our expectations of somebody else we'll end up we'll think that our way is the only way, and then our expectations of how things should be handled the same with another person, which that's not always true, because God is showing us right here that sometimes people don't come the way you think, you know. Sometimes it is by force. And that kind of reminded me of this time, that kind of reminded me of this coronavirus. You know, there is some of us in this virus, or in this time of this virus, that have came to God and said, whatever you do, I'll do it, Lord, you know, whatever it might be. And we have been taken down some really crazy paths. And then there's other people that, because of the virus, it's given them a wake-up call to kind of force them into Christ. Maybe they're already Christians. Maybe it's making them go deeper. I really don't have, those are my choppy thoughts, okay? So I don't really have all those answers. And so, but I want to point out a few things. In verse 14, after the cup was revealed, their brothers tore their clothes because they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. You're going to take our prized possession. Our father is going to kill us because you're going to take our prized possession, our youngest brother, and this isn't going to fly over. And that's what made them fall to the ground. Well, that's what made them tear their clothes. It gets better. So then they went to Joseph's, because right now they were just with his servants. And then they went to Joseph's house, and they had to tell him what happened. And they ended up falling on the ground in front of Joseph, you know, asking him for forgiveness and everything. And Joseph said this one thing, y'all, and I don't quite understand this fully, but I'm going to. It says in verse 15, didn't you know that a man like me could uncover the truth by divination? I think I said that wrong, but you know, and I'm not really sure what that means, but his presence, what I'm thinking I'm getting out of this, because God was with Joseph so much, he had so much power of God's power in him, just his presence uncovering the truth made them go to their knees. You know, that's pretty profound if you think about it. You know, one person that said, here I am, I'm ready, and God was able to use them, and here's their brothers falling at his feet. You know, one person having that much power went through a lot of trials, and then God was able to bring the other ones to him through Joseph. You know, that's pretty powerful. And then it says, they were like, there were so many questions. I still have a little questions here. But one of the things they say in 16, it says, we are now my Lord's slaves, both we and the one whose possession the cup was found. Y'all, they did not want to give Benjamin up. They did not want to give him up. They're like, you know what, you take him, you take us. And Joseph came back and said, no. The man in whose possession the cup was found will be my slave. Because truth is, the total thing was not the total, what needed to be done hadn't come into full, what is that? Oh Lord, have a thought blocks right now. It didn't come into fruition. No, that's not a good word. But anyway, it hadn't all came into play yet. And so he wasn't able to take them because there was still more to do to finish this out. That was just the test to see how loyal and stuff. So my point in all this was this, is as I read this, you know, there's a lot of us in this coronavirus that are looking for our value, looking at what is going on and why is this happening. We have a lot of different questions. And I just want to say that, you know, there's a lot of different things going on, and sometimes God is using where we are to bring people to him in his own particular way, and we should kind of work with him in that instead of fight whatever's going on. And so we can kind of, you know, work in unity with God to bring about his full plan that he has and that he's working on right now. So I just wanted to share that, y'all. It was really a good passage, and like I said, it's choppy. So if it's choppy, just read it, and we could, you know, take your choppy thoughts and my choppy thoughts, and then we can maybe come up with one good solid thought, right? Because that's what Bible study is. Anyway, like I said, day 6 of 7, just one more day. Talk to you soon.